Hi everyone, today I'm gonna present the industries with the most GHG emissions and what will happen in the future and what happened in the last decades. And I also make some examples on those famous countries who are related to the GHG emissions. Let's talk about the industries with the most GHG emissions. There are two common but ignored events with large GHG emissions. The first one is agriculture. When you plant the crop, you consume more energies, you release medicines, and you also modify the land. Agriculture directly accounts for 80.4% of GHG emissions. And the food system is the second common but ignored event with the largest GHG emissions. They have 4 steps. The first step, producing. For example, the cow. When you produce the beef, it will release the CO2, which is a big problem with our life. And the second step is processing. When you process those food or crops, you consume more energies. And the third step is delivering. When you when you transport those food, the vehicles will pollute the area and the environments with the exhaust emissions. Then the final step is packaging. They also need to package those foods and make them looks beautiful, looks good, and send them to the supermarket or anywhere to sell them to make money. That will also consume energies. The food system accounts for around 1/4 of GHG emissions. Now we talk about those negative effect from those from GHG emissions. The first one is the ecosystem shift. Those species will migrate to adapt to new biotech conditions, which means sometimes some species will disappear from this specific location. And the second condition is health. Some countries are facing heat waves to face the heat waves. And the most important case in the last decade is that those tropical disease distributions extend to current non-tropical disease locations. For example, the COVID-19 is affected by the cold conditions. It will arise from in the colder weather. And the last one is sea rise. Sea rise from 15 to 19% from last decade to 2011. Well, when we mention who is the largest emitter of GHG emission, we obviously think of China. Yes, I agree. China is indeed the country with the largest CO2 emissions. But when we turn the total emissions into per capita emissions, we will find that China is not the country with the largest emissions per capita. But those countries in North will produce a lot CO2 with higher emissions per capita because of the cold weather. They need to be warm. And in the last decades, the United Nations promotes to implement the carbon neutrality by 2050, and China was the first one to propose a carbon neutral plan at 2016. This move will slow the global warming turns of this century by 0.25 degree. A just France decision is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2015 from the original 70% reduction from 1990 to a carbon neutral target. On the April 21, 2020, the French government officially adopted the budget in the form of a decree. But India still have no clear plan to indicate when it will achieve carbon neutrality. So if we don't care about the climate change, we don't care about the GHG emissions, we will lose everything. We will lose the food, we will lose our family, we will lose the planet. Thank you.